The recent plane crash in Nepal may sound like a deja vu. But the bigger question here is, who do you blame? Is it the government, the airline, or the pilot? Who is responsible for the lives of these people, some of whom you and I may know? Who do you blame for their deaths? Do you blame a mechanical failure or the government of Nepal, which has a track record of not acting? You see, the government of Nepal has never done much about a crash except to order an inquiry. But what happens after that? The government is back to indifference. Does the inquiry ever conclude? Is the report published, reviewed? Are the corrections made? Are the recommendations implemented? No, because if the government had done its job, none of these crashes would have happened. You see, there is a plane crash in Nepal almost every year. I will spare you the timeline that's being replayed in every news report out there. Instead, tonight I ask you a question. What happened to all the previous inquiries? The first officer on that flight that went down in Pokhran was a 44-year-old woman. Her name was Anju Khatewada. Anju's husband was a pilot as well, and he also died in a plane crash. That crash also was in Nepal, and as fate would have it, it was Yeti Airlines. Anju Khatewada's husband, Deepak Pokhrel, was flying a twin otter plane in 2006 when it crashed in Nepal's Jumla. An investigation was launched. The committee came out with the causes of the accident. 1. The crew did not follow the protocol. 2. There was insufficient flight training program by the Yeti management. And 3. Inadequate oversight of the Yeti Airlines by CAN or CAN, or the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. In other words, the crew, the airline, and the government all were at fault. But no arrests were made and no one was pulled up. And it was not the first plane crash in Nepal. It was far from the last. Ideally, the next step should have been to fix that mess, to train the crew, pull up the airline boss, punish those in positions of power at CAN or CAN, and get them to ensure that history does not repeat itself. But protocol does not fly in Nepal, coffins do. A month after the crash in Jumla, another flight crashed in Nepal, the same model, the same airline, and the same reason. This time, the probe report said the contributory causes to the accident were insufficiency of CRM trainings at Yeti Airlines and lack of adequate oversight of Yeti Airlines by the CAN Flight Operations Division. The same story and the same villains. Yeti Airlines does not learn from the crash and cannot do its job. Meanwhile, the government of Nepal is looking the other way, towards the Himalayas, hoping the aviation sector miraculously mends itself. You know what they say, once bitten, twice shy? In the case of Nepal, no number of air crashes, no number of probe reports seems to be doing the job. On its website, CAN boasts that it is quote-unquote responsible to carry out safety oversight as well as other safety-related functions within the organization. Had it been any other country, this agency would have been literally non-existent as well. Everyone in this agency would have been sacked, bossed down, because it is failing to ensure even the bare minimum. In 2018, a US Bangla Airlines flight crashed in Nepal. 51 passengers and crew members died. The investigation found that pre-flight briefings were improper. That's the most basic thing, like the A of aviation safety. The pilot in command or the commander was found to be under stress. Also, there was poor CRM or crew resource management among those in charge of flying the plane. This was a problem the 2006 Yeti Airline probe report had highlighted some 8 years back. So how was it that 8 years on, the same problem was taking more lives? Because nothing is being done about these crash probes. They are released, they are sent out to those sitting in high offices, but nothing is done about these reports. Those in power might as well just toss the report in the bin. Who knows, maybe that is what's happening. And the pages are then used to serve roadside snacks in Kathmandu. I don't see why this time will be any different. 69 people have lost their lives, but Nepal has not made any arrests. The government is not even pretending to care. I'm not saying the private airlines are not at fault. Of course they are. If they cannot ensure basic crew training, then they have no business flying. In 2014, when a Nepal Airlines flight crashed in Sandikark, killing all 18 on board, the investigation found inappropriate and insufficient crew coordination while changing course of action. In 2016, when a Tara air flight crashed, killing 23 people, the probe team said the crew decided to enter a cloud despite unfavorable conditions. Again, basic protocols were not followed. And in the case of the May 2018 Makalu air crash, the probe team found the most probable cause of this accident was to continue the flight despite unfavorable weather conditions. The report went on to point fingers at ineffective safety management of the company. After the 2019 air crash, the investigators said the co-pilot was inexperienced. These are flying coffins. Yes, Nepal's airlines are dangerous, but so is the government's complacency. From where I am sitting, it looks like the government has entered a cozy relationship with the airlines, where it looks the other way as long as the airlines manage to fly tourists to popular destinations like Pokhran. The government seems to have decided to risk safety as long as tourism revenue continues to flow in. So every time a plane goes down in Nepal, a musical chair begins. Poor weather is blamed. Cockpit miscommunication is blamed. Pilot error is blamed. But I want to tell you tonight that none of these crashes would have happened had the government done its job. As Nepal marks the day of public mourning, another farcical inquiry has been ordered. 5 people have been tasked into getting to the root of the crash. Meanwhile, you and I remain unsafe. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.